Alright, Aces, welcome back to part 3 with me, Jeff Ollerhead, and Jason Morgan. Who's he talking to? This is a continuation story when he was at Aldershot with the big boys as the main sort of adult recruitment in P Company or the Parachute Regiment, and he was still with the Beastie Boys. That was his recruitment team, who were absolute. But so where were we? So you got to Aldershot again.
I'm in Oldershot. At the time, P Company was week 12, so I'm with 530 platoon. I get to week 9. Believe it or not, we had a few hours off on a Sunday, and we go ice skating. You know, a few of us down to Aldershot ice ring, I think it was, messing about on the ice. Next thing we go over, bang, crack me knee. Literally carried off the ice. I was in agony. Went back to camp thinking, hospital. So I went up to the military hospital, got a taxi up there, go in, get x-rayed, give me some ibuprofen, 2 days like cheese.
So you survived all the padders, beastings and kickings, beatings, getting thrown out of bed, and then you go ice skating.
Ice skate. And then that night, I didn't sleep a wink. I was in absolute agony.
Was your knee swelled? Yeah.
That showed nothing. And then that morning, I get a call to go to the guard room. So I'm literally limping. I couldn't put any weight on my leg. I hadn't had any sleep. I was in absolute agony. I limp over to the guard room, and he says, "You're wanted at the hospital." I'm like, right. I said, "Is there any transport to fucking walk, you lazy bastard?"
I know, so
the hospital's about a couple of miles away. So I'm literally limping. It took me 5 minutes, 10 minutes. He must have been watching me, out the window and seeing that I wasn't bluffing and I was in a lot of pain. And eventually he shouted, "Stay there." Land Rover come round, took me up the hospital.
That's the he's the doctor on this, yeah.
So we get to the hospital and they say, "Awfully sorry, somebody else looked at the x-rays and there is a problem." Basically, cut along to I chipped the bone on my knee, collateral strain, all the rest of it. Next thing I'm in a full plaster. It's like breaking your leg, full plaster, on crutches.
Is that those like football injuries you get like that? Is that the ligaments, the collateral ligaments, the inside, the outside?
I understood it as like chipping a bone on my knee, but then all the strain, round, all this kind of carry on. So I'm in plaster. He sent me home for a couple of weeks.
Crutches?
I was on crutches, had to go through London Underground, the train all the way home on a broken leg on crutches.
How did you feel thinking about...
I remember getting off at Lime Street and my mum was there to meet me, and I remember her face, she was shocked at the state I was in. I think I'd lost a lot of weight, all the training. I looked like a skeleton on legs, you know what I mean? So I was home for a couple of weeks, go back, get the plaster off, go into retraining platoon.
So I've got to dive in here because if you remember, what was your feel? Was you still thinking, do you know what, I'm going to give this injury up, I'm going to do my best and get back into it? Was that the...
Yeah, that was me thinking, I'm going to carry on.
Sucker for punishment, eh?
Yeah. So I'm into retraining platoon, which you're building your back up to join another platoon that comes into week 9, because that's when I'd left.
Okay, can you remember when you went on leave? Obviously it's a sick leave, and did you meet some of your mates who were just, what did he say?
Well, I think a lot of people were shocked that, I was like a skeleton on legs. I'd lost it. I was always quite beefy.
Yeah.
And then, although I was tailed like that, I think it was 9 stone, something like that. I've never been that in my life, even at that age. So, it was all the physical activity.
What were they doing, your friends? What sort of work were they doing? Just obviously...
A lot of them were on them YTS schemes at the time, like you mentioned earlier on.
Youth training scheme?
Yeah, it was basically just, I think it was Maggie's way of taking people off the dole, trying to reduce the dole queue, you know what I mean?
Just skivvies,
yeah.
Lads being skivvies. So, you thought to yourself, that's when you thought, I'm making a good choice, I've got to go back. I want to pass this P Company.
Yeah.
Did you go back to 530, the Beastie Boys?
No, because they by then progressed. done P Company and they were onto other things, doing their jump training and advanced whales and things like that.
What's jump training?
Where you go to Bryce Norton and jump out of the plane.
Out of the plane, eh?
Yeah. So that's all after P Company. So I'm in retraining platoon. All of a sudden, I think it was 533 platoon come along, get to week 9, boom, I joined them.
Could you tell the difference with the instructors?
Oh, the difference. You know, I've done juniors, I've been in retraining platoon, seen the way their staff work. I've been in now 533 platoon, seen how their staff work, and it was 530 platoon was the Beastie Boys. They were absolute brutal compared to these others. I mean, it was still bad, but they were.
They're all locked up now with war crimes. Yeah. The Beastie Boys. So, anyway, you're getting to your knee. So, how long did it take to heal? When
I think I was in plaster 4 weeks, got it off, and then I was in a rush. You're seeing your mates passing out and going to battalion, and you know, I was like, and I was in retraining. Yeah, my knee's better, and I was.
Was you lying to?
I was to a degree. I was in a bit of pain, suffering, but just trying to catch up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, 533 platoon, week 9, do the remaining 3 weeks, and then it's the big P Company. It's week 12, which is, it's basically 10 events over 5 days, all physically demanding, mentally demanding. You push your body to the limit and beyond, and then it's just a case of carrying on mentally.
You see, I mean, there's luckily for us, there's things on YouTube with P Company, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, the first event, can you remember what it was?
There was 10 events in my day. I know it's changed now. I think it's 8 events now, and there's been some adjustments and changes. But if I remember rightly, I'll try and get it in order. I think day 1 started with the steeplechase. That was a 2-mile run over water features.
Oh, you're talking about little fountains or?
Well, you know, you go in and you'd be up to here trying to scramble out, and people booting you in the head and standing on the wall trying to get out these ditches, so to speak.
Was it every man for themselves?
Every man for yourself, quickest time. Each event, I believe, was marked out of 10. They weren't told at the time. But, you know, the second event was the milling. You were in the gym, match put together, and you just got matched up. There was no head guards, gum shields, and then.
So this is boxing or fighting,
I wouldn't call it boxing. It's just a case of keep your chin up. Imagine being in a trench. This is the thinking behind it.
Okay.
Imagine being in a trench and there's enemy fire coming at you.
Yeah.
Are you going to put your head up and fire back? That is the method behind milling. Stand there, take it on the chin.
Yeah.
So it's a minute. They call it the longest minute in the world, where you're knocking hell out of each other.
Windmilling and just I've seen.
Dinner time. I think in the afternoon it was the assault course. You had to go around so many times. The next day, I think it was the 10 miler. Had to be done in 1 hour 50 minutes.
Just in between these, so once you've done the event, right? Say for instance, you've done the steeplechase. You go back. Are you on another? Or you getting?
You basically go back to block.
Yeah.
Showered, cleaned up, ready for the next event.
Yeah.
Getting your gear ready.
So you do 2 in one day.
Well, that first day we did 3 events in the 1 day.
So tell me about what about your injury? Was that flaring up?
I was taking painkillers at the time. My knee had swelled up on the first day after the steeplechase. So I went back too early, but I was keen to get on. To be honest.
Did you come last, or did you not? I don't understand. With an injury like that, did you? Where was you on the steeplechase?
I wasn't doing as well as I've done. We've done all these events before, you know.
Like pre.
I've done all right, but I noticed I wasn't where I was, you know. So the knee was playing a definite, but in the paras, you don't moan, you don't complain. Everyone carries injuries, you crack on, and that's the way it was. There's no moaning and groaning.
Slip up a lip. Yeah. Keep going.
So day 2, I think it was the 10 miler, followed by the Trinasium.
What's a Trinasium?
That's like scaffolding set up 60 foot in the air. You have to run along it. It's a confidence test.
Any health and safety, like, you know, like,
Yeah, not that.
No
I believe
ropes or
now you've got nets and all the rest
winches.
of it. But then you just ran along it. I mean, people have in the past fell off, broken backs, all the rest of it. 60 foot up in the air.
So you're not
This,
one,
the method behind that one is, can you jump out of an aeroplane? You know what I mean?
how high you are and can you keep your nerve.
A head for heights, basically.
Is that where they go up? I think I see the problem. They go up and they go across like a 2 bars. You shuffle across.
Yeah.
So your rank, so your number rank name is it?
Yeah.
248151, and then you got to stand there.
That's right.
Touch your toes and.
Yeah. So it's all to do with confidence.
How would you train for that, or is it built in you, or do you
Well,
think?
we did it during your 12 weeks. You go round and have a go at it bit by bit, and they build you up to it, kind of thing.
You don't want kids now thinking, I'm going to go and test myself in the gymnasium and find a high building and start shimming across.
No,
You know,
you've got to bear in mind that you've just done a 10-mile run. Your legs are like jelly.
wobbly.
You know, when you go straight round the back, straight onto the gymnasium, it's not like you turn up fresh. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So then, I think day 3, you're on a coach to Wales, the Brecon side of it.
Brecon Beacons.
Yeah. And you come off the coach and you're straight into a 20-miler.
20 miles.
Yeah. Straight into a 20.
What is that, full kit? Is that like
Full kit.
boots,
I think,
webbing,
yeah.
all your ammunition? So how much are you carrying then? What sort of weight?
I think the Bergens were about £35. I remember that the weapon, you're carrying your weapon, SA-80 at the time, I think that weighed about £9, something like that. You've got a bit of weapon, your water bottles, etc. You've got your boots, your helmet on, and it's all going 20 miles. Had to be done in a certain, I think it was 3.5, 4 hours, something like that.
On the terrain, you were saying about...
It's up and down, the Brecon Beacons, you know, the penny fan, you're going up that, down it. It's not just a flat, it's...
And the grass, is it all nice and smooth?
Yeah, your boggy, the terrain, you take all that into consideration and it's...
Baby's heads, is that the way?
It's horrendous.
Treading on elephant grass.
And then I think day 4 starts off with an 8-miler. And then in the afternoon there's a 6-miler, which was, I think they called it a speed march, which was basically you run all the way. There's no, you know...
And in that time, how many people dropped out? Did you see, like,
well,
with the drop like flies?
In my day, P-Company, it's funny that your platoon is doing it, but all of a sudden you'll get coaches turning up, and there's like officers from Sandhurst. You get people coming from Retraining platoon who are doing it for a second time. So all these people verge on day 1. And you're like, where have they come from? There's officers doing it, there's people who have failed at doing it again, there's people who are doing it again. So if I remember rightly, when I did P-Company, we started, I think there must have been about 60 people.
Okay.
Maybe 70, something like that. There was a lot of people. I forgot the log run as well, back in old shots.
The log run.
Yeah, like 2 miles or
How big was the log?
It's a big telegraph pole. And basically, you see, the difference now is, if they call it jacking, the paras.
Yeah.
Jacking means you've stopped, you've given up.
You've jacked, yeah.
So you're on the log, you come off the log, and they say, you've jacked, you've stopped, get in the wagon, you're binned, you go and carry on with P-Company, you come off an event.
He's jacked, get him on the wagon.
Get him on the wagon. So as you're going through, people are jacking, and the numbers are reduced as the days are going on. So we get to the 8-miler, 6-miler, and then the last day is a 10-mile stretcher race. Now everyone has their bits of what was worse for them, but for me, I think the 10-mile stretcher race was absolutely horrific.
Is that is that meant to be like you're carrying a stretcher like a war, you've got to evacuate?
Again, everything's there for a purpose. Okay, you're evacuating one of your mates that has been shot on a stretcher, but the paras being the paras, they make it 10 mile instead of 2 or and it's scaffold poles with a tank track welded on the top. And I can't remember the weight of something, 180 pounds.
Or like a quarter of a ton or something. Not far off.
You're running with your weapon, your helmet, your boots.
And how many's on the stretcher? 4?
There's 4 here. I think teams of 8, so you swap over every now and again. you keep running with it. And
A
that
bit
was,
like the equivalent to like the two men all on the stretcher with the kit on.
it was absolutely horrific, and that was 10 mile.
So you've gone all the way to the last 10, is that what you've come to?
So I've done all 10 events.
Oh God, mate. Yeah.
Get to the end, and I would think out of that 60, 70 that started the 5 days, there was, I'd say, 20, maybe 23, 24 of us left that hadn't jacked an event, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So out of that 23, 24,
Total respect, yeah, total respect.
you're then on the car park, I think it was that afternoon or the next day, and it was a case of, right, call your names out, have you now got enough points to pass?
So you think anyone think, I've just done it, I'm here,
Yeah.
I've done it, they give me the beret, you know, and
So all of a sudden we're on the car park, there's 23, 24 of us stood, remaining, done all 10 events.
did you think that you passed in your own mind?
I thought I was on the verge, it could go either way. I mean, I remember being on the stretcher race, and at the end, we start walking and I go out of step. I was that knackered, you know,
Yeah.
right, and I went out of step. And some company sergeant major come up to me and he was running backwards, he twisted
The chin strap.
chin strap, brought me chin right up and went, get in step, bang, punched me right in the face. I was like seeing stars, going, maybe, things like that were happening, people were getting punched and kicked all around the events. So we come to the car park, 23, 24.
I mean, you
left.
volunteered for this, didn't you?
Yeah. And then you call your name out, and it's so-and-so pass, so-and-so fail. Come to me, Walker, sir, fail.
Oh!
I couldn't believe it.
So you just dropped to the floor. What was going through your mind?
I just couldn't believe I could understand if it had jacked on an event,
Yeah.
you know. And straight away I thought, right, that was it. I felt like dropping my pants there and then and saying, have you seen my knee? I've just done 10 of it. My knee had swelled up like that. I was full of ibuprofen. But again, you say nothing. They all carry injuries. You crack on, you know.
So, right, you can either have two choices then. Is that what you said? You can either redo
you basically go back to camp. I get brought in the office, and the officer is sat there, sits me down, and he says, right, he said, you've got a few choices here. He says, one, you can do P Company again. And I thought, fuck, I've just been to hell. I don't want to do that again. Plus my knee. I'm thinking long term, I'll end up being medically discharged out the army.
To suffer from a day, to suffer from your knee.
Yeah, I've always,
That's a
get
really
little
shame.
twinges and all the rest of it. And then he said, you can either transfer to another unit or leave the army. So there was my 3 choices. Straight away I thought, I'm not doing that again, no chance. I didn't want to leave. So I said, right, well, I don't want to leave the army, I'd transfer. He said, well, who do you want to go to? And it's at this, I didn't really know, I'd heard of the Cheshires.
Yeah.
I said, we're Cheshire Regiment. And he had a little, he said, well, they're actually being based in Chester at the moment for 5 years. And I thought, well, I don't really want to go to Chester, join the army to
See the world, yeah.
The only other regiment I had in my head was the King's Regiment, who were a Liverpool, Manchester lot. And I said, what about the King's Regiment? He said, well, they're actually just leaving Chester for Berlin. And I thought, that will do me. So, all of a sudden,
Berlin bound to the
Berlin
first battalion in the King's Regiments, born to be a Kingo. Stand by for part 4 of the tales and the stories from Jason Walker and me, Jeff Ollerhead, from Who's You Talking To? Take care.